he discovers a startling secret about his newlywed wife. During her monthly cycle, his wife is forced to sleep in the hallway, relying on a rag so filthy it is barely recognizable to get through the night. Witnessing this, Lakshmikant is heartbroken. For the sake of his wife's health, he resolutely walks into a pharmacy to buy sanitary pads. Unexpectedly, a single pack costs a sky-high price of 55 rupees, which is equivalent to several days of food expenses for their family. Although Lakshmikant doesn't have enough money on him, he doesn't hesitate to borrow from a neighbor to buy it, filled with the hope of bringing his wife some peace of mind. However, when Lakshmikant hands the purchased pads to his wife, he is met with blame.
इसे वापस कीजिए।
लेकिन गायत्री तुम्हारी
रुपए ये कोई छोटी चीज नहीं होती।
A family like theirs cannot afford such a luxury item. Choking back tears, his wife refuses and insists he return them. Clutching the pack of pads that carries both his love and the harsh reality of their life, Lakshmikant stands in the pharmacy asking for a refund. But the owner refuses. Lakshmikant feels a mix of bitter emotions. This gesture, born from the purest love, is about to ignite a revolution that will change the fate of millions of Indian women, all starting from the shop owner's refusal. Lakshmikant takes the non-refundable pads to his workplace. Just as he enters, an accident occurs. A colleague's hand gets cut by a machine, and he urgently needs to stop the bleeding. In this critical moment, Lakshmikant pulls out the sanitary pad from his pocket to bandage his colleague, then rushes him to the hospital. The doctor praises Lakshmikant's quick thinking. If he hadn't used the clean pad to stop the bleeding, the colleague likely would have lost his arm. After a tetanus shot, the colleague is out of danger. Seizing this opportunity, Lakshmikant asks the authoritative doctor about his concerns.
यहाँ महीने में कम से कम 10 से 12 औरतें आती है अपनी बीमारी लेकर। बीमारी की वजह से कम उम्र में कुछ लड़कियां बांझ बन जाती है, कुछ औरतें मर भी जाती है। इतना सीरियस है।
Learning that his wife's current method is indeed dangerous, Lakshmikant becomes determined that she must use safe sanitary pads. Looking at the answer in his hand, his curiosity grows. Why is something so light sold at such an expensive price? Thinking it over, Lakshmikant can't resist tearing one open to see what treasure is hidden inside. The answer is surprisingly simple. Lakshmikant turns and heads to the village market. First, he carefully selects a piece of soft white cotton cloth at a fabric stall. Next, he buys fluffy, clean cotton from a neighboring shop. Finally, he stops at a bicycle repair stand to buy a bottle of glue. He prepares to make his own budget-friendly version of sanitary pads. By the river, Lakshmikant washes a few large leaves and spreads them out on a rock. In the center of the leaves, he wraps the cotton in gauze and seals it with glue. Soon, several low-cost pads are ready. Lakshmikant carefully wraps them in the washed leaves as if packaging a precious gift. At the seal, he pins a freshly picked white flower. This isn't just a pack of homemade pads. It is a gentle gesture of protection from an ordinary husband to his beloved, made in the simplest way possible. Gayatri is touched by this sentiment wrapped in leaves and flowers and finally agrees to use it. Lakshmikant is ecstatic, feeling as if a heavy stone has been lifted from his heart. However, the next morning, Lakshmikant sees his wife drying that familiar dirty rag again. A wave of disappointment washes over him. He can't help but ask his wife why she refuses to try his gift. The truth is, Lakshmikant's carefully crafted pad failed to stop the leakage, resulting in a mess. Gayatri tells him to focus on his job and stop interfering with her period issues in the future. Lakshmikant stands frozen, his enthusiasm doused by the cold water of reality. For the sake of family harmony, he has to temporarily put aside this obsession. But fate always plants a seed for the future at the turning of a corner. That day, in front of a temple, he witnesses a heartbreaking scene. Groups of women devoutly offer incense, willing to pay money equivalent to a pack of pads to pray for health. Yet no one is willing to actually purchase the small pad that brings real protection. Lakshmikant knows this is senseless superstition, but under his wife's reproachful gaze, he is forced to put his hard-earned money into the donation box. In this moment, the fire in his heart reignites. The next morning, he buys cotton again, takes out the remaining materials, and begins a new round of attempts in the morning light. This time, he doesn't hesitate to stuff in double the amount of cotton, his movements becoming more determined. This persistence has already transcended his worry for his wife's health. It is about the most precious conviction an ordinary person has when facing the world. He firmly believes he is on the right path.
आप मुझे समझने की कोशिश कीजिए। देखिए, हम औरतों के लिए बीमारी से मरना शर्म के साथ जीने से बेहतर है। ये बात करते हुए मुझे बहुत शर्म आ रही है। आप मुझे अकेला छोड़ दीजिए।
Lakshmikant's persistence is misunderstood by Gayatri as an insult to her. Even his mother kicks him out to the hallway, keeping him away from his wife. In deeply rooted Indian religious concepts, women are often viewed as unclean during menstruation. During their period, they are often forbidden from entering the house and must sleep in the hallway. Just after being kicked out, Lakshmikant meets his two younger sisters returning from school. They are curious about the package in their brother's hand and clamor to see it. When Lakshmikant opens the package to reveal the sanitary pads inside, the two sisters run away as if they have seen something terrifying. This futile behavior makes Lakshmikant even angrier, and his resolve to shatter this mindset becomes firmer. But without anyone to use them, he cannot know how effective the improved pads are. Suddenly, Lakshmikant thinks of someone. Perhaps his married sister will understand his painstaking efforts. However, when he takes out the pads, his sister's entire family reacts as if they have encountered a disaster that blasphemes the gods, panic-strickenly shutting him out. Lakshmikant falls into complete isolation. His good intentions are seen by everyone as an unreasonable obsession. With a heart full of gloom, he falls into a groggy sleep, only to plunge into his deepest fear in a dream. His wife gets an infection from that dirty rag, suffers severe abdominal pain, and eventually dies in the hospital. He wakes up with a start, cold sweat soaking his shirt, looking out the window at his wife sleeping in the cold hallway. A thought pierces his heart like a needle. If his wife really met with such a misfortune, he would never be able to forgive himself. At the break of dawn, with no one on the streets, Lakshmikant rides his bicycle to the clinic where he took his colleague, hoping to get professional guidance from the doctor. However, the clinic doors are locked. A notice on the wall says the doctor has been transferred elsewhere with no return date. Hope falls through again. Lakshmikant rides his bike through the streets, feeling that only by making the pads better can he persuade his wife to use them. The biggest problem right now is the lack of user feedback. He scans the women passing by on the street, trying to find a potential breakthrough, but despairingly realizes that no group will accept hygiene products handed over by a strange man. Just as he is at his wit's end, a school bus passing by on its way to the medical college gives him an idea. The medical students inside must have open minds and might be willing to help him with this. Harboring hope, he waits at the medical college gate, displaying his labor of love to the passing students. However, reality deals him another heavy blow. The girls blush and avoid him, and the security guard yells at him to leave, treating him like a harasser with bad intentions. Disheartened as he turns to leave, a motorcycle suddenly darts out from behind, nearly knocking him over. Out of apology to Lakshmikant, this student is willing to help him ask around.
तुम्हारी पैंट ही नहीं मांग रहा है वो, कुछ अच्छा करने की कोशिश कर रहा है। मेडिकल कॉलेज के स्टूडेंटों की हम नहीं समझेंगे तो कौन समझेगा? मेडिकल कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स हैं इसीलिए समझते हैं। और मेरी सुनो ना, तो तुम भी जोश में आके इसे इस्तेमाल मत करें, फेंक दे इसे।
The truth that no one is willing to use them sends Lakshmikant leaving the school in disappointment. The cruel reality of hitting walls everywhere only deepens his obsession to get this done. Lakshmikant sets his sights on a young girl in a neighbor's house who has just had her coming-of-age ceremony. While she is resting in the hallway due to her period, Lakshmikant approaches her with the finished pads. Out of politeness, the girl accepts them, not recognizing what they are. Before Lakshmikant can explain, the girl's mother suddenly walks over. Witnessing this scene, she instantly flies into a rage. In her eyes, Lakshmikant delivering hygiene products to a young girl late at night is nothing short of blasphemy and perversion. She loudly shouts Gayatri's name. Her urgent voice tears through the night sky, alarming the surrounding neighbors. People gather to point fingers, and Lakshmikant instantly becomes a pervert spurned by the whole village. Under the weight of this humiliation, his mother takes his two sisters and leaves home that very day to stay with her married daughter. Even his wife is packing her luggage in tears, preparing to leave him. This scene makes Lakshmikant weep with grievance. Others can misunderstand him, but not his wife. Everything he did was for her. Lakshmikant kneels before his wife, pouring out the grievances in his heart. Every word reveals his deep love for her. Gayatri is deeply moved and forgives Lakshmikant, deciding not to leave. To stop her husband from being insulted by others, Gayatri agrees to help him test the improved pads. However, love cannot make up for technical defects. After Gayatri tries it, leakage occurs again. She begs Lakshmikant to give up this idea and return to a normal life. Although Lakshmikant agrees on the surface, he keeps thinking about where the problem lies. A turning point appears at work. A remark from his boss wakes him up. When delivering to a customer, you must use it yourself first to ensure safety. Indeed, why can't he try it himself before giving it to his wife? And so, a shocking experiment begins. He buys pig blood from a butcher shop, gets a balloon from a repair shop, and buys women's underwear from a lingerie store, creating a homemade blood bag device to simulate a period. Lakshmikant straps this crude device to his body and begins a tragic, yet comical self-test. At first, no matter how he moves, no blood leaks, which boosts his confidence. He decides to ride his bicycle for a high-intensity test. Lakshmikant happily speeds through the village, occasionally squeezing the blood bag to simulate bleeding. Just when he thinks victory is in sight, his lower body suddenly feels wet. Looking down, he sees a large patch of blood leaking out, staining his trousers red. Lakshmikant hurriedly throws down his bicycle and runs toward the river, covering his crotch. The surrounding crowd is attracted by his strange state. Under the stunned gazes of everyone, Lakshmikant jumps into the river. Gayatri rushes over upon hearing the noise, only to see Lakshmikant thrashing in the water, the fresh blood staining the surface. Because of this incident, he is cursed by the entire village, and some even propose beating him to death. His mother publicly severs ties with him. Gayatri is also implicated and slandered, hiding in the crowd and weeping in sorrow. When her brother finds out, he immediately drives over and takes her away. Lakshmikant rushes up to try and stop them, but Gayatri, valuing dignity over disease, abandons him and leaves. Facing such a desperate situation, Lakshmikant's unyielding will becomes even more determined. He chooses to leave the village, secretly swearing that he will make the sanitary pads a success and turn the humiliation his wife's family received into respect. Even if he has to go to hell for it, he will not hesitate. With the technical question that has always haunted him, Lakshmikant goes to a cotton processing factory to verify if it is a problem with the cotton. After testing with professional machines, the problem indeed lies there. The cotton Lakshmikant used is ordinary cotton, while imported sanitary pads use cellulose fiber. When he tries to ask about the production method of cellulose, the factory employees are helpless. This exceeds their knowledge reserve. Hope is dashed again. But Lakshmikant does not stop. His next stop is the Institute of Technology. He wants to find the smartest brains in the country and knock on the academic door to the answer. Unable to pay tuition, Lakshmikant willingly serves as a servant for a university professor. From dawn to dusk, he takes on all the menial chores. Sweeping, washing dishes, picking up children, cooking, laundry. He does everything meticulously without complaint. This simple persistence gradually wins the favor of the professor's son. When the son learns of Lakshmikant's troubles, he actively opens his computer to help him look up information. Through searching, they find an American company that specializes in selling cellulose. Using the contact number left above, Lakshmikant requests some free samples under the pretense of sourcing supplies for a startup. Soon the samples travel across the ocean and are delivered to Lakshmikant. When he opens the package with great anticipation, he finds that inside are just some white cardboard sheets. Lakshmikant thinks the factory sent the wrong sample and throws the cardboard on the ground in disappointment. Life always gives surprises when you least expect them. The professor's dog sees it and starts playing with it. After scratching it with its claws, the hard cardboard gradually becomes fluffy, blooming with a cotton-like soft texture. Just as Lakshmikant bends down to take a closer look, the professor pushes the door open and witnesses this curious scene. Deeply touched, Lakshmikant finally plucks up the courage to tell his story. He suffered humiliation for the sake of making sanitary pads for love. His experience of being betrayed by his loved ones makes the scholar stand in awe. The professor immediately opens the academic database and pulls up professional equipment blueprints for Lakshmikant. However, the massive machine on the screen, 10 meters long and weighing 500 tons, along with its price tag of millions of dollars, acts like a bucket of cold water, extinguishing the flame of hope Lakshmikant had just ignited. Seeing the price, the professor also advises Lakshmikant to return to a normal life and give up this idea.
500 RPM that shred the pulp into fine fluff, gathering in a clean chamber in rectangular blocks is in non-woven cloth. The interfusion process, which treats the pad with UV rays.
Gayatri's simple housework routine suddenly gives him inspiration. The professor's discouragement becomes his motivation. Early the next morning, he packs his bags. A brand new concept becomes clear in his mind. What he wants to make now is not sanitary pads, but a machine that produces sanitary pads. After saying goodbye to the professor, Lakshmikant rents a dilapidated warehouse and begins his micro-revolution based on the principles of the giant machine. He realizes that the whole process boils down to just 4 core steps: grinding, compressing, packaging, and sterilization. He just needs 4 small, cheap machines to complete each step respectively, and he can achieve the same result. Funding is the primary problem. Facing Lakshmikant, who has nothing, the moneylender scornfully rejects his loan request. However, Lakshmikant once again shows amazing resilience. He bends down to massage the moneylender's back, serves tea and water, and persists day after day with the most humble servant skills. Sincerity can crack stone. He finally borrows his first startup capital. The road to modification begins here. Referencing the principle of an ordinary grinder, he builds an enlarged grinding device. Using a lever structure, he designs a simple manual press to complete the compression. Again, posing as an entrepreneur on the phone, he secures non-woven fabric samples and assembles a mixing and packaging machine using screws, steel pipes, and sheet metal. Finally, borrowing dental UV sterilization technology, he builds his own sterilization equipment. When the first homemade sanitary pad is born from inside, with a texture no different from imported products, a long-lost smile finally blooms on Lakshmikant's face. However, the familiar predicament strikes again. Without women to use it, all success is just paper talk. Just as Lakshmikant is at his wit's end in the warehouse, fate lets him meet a woman who will change his life, Pari, on this late night. This highly educated, open-minded urban woman happens to get her period while holding a concert. However, the clinic doors are closed late at night. Facing the empty street at a loss, she runs right into the sleepless Lakshmikant. Pari's assistant hurriedly asks him for help.
नहीं
अच्छा, आपके घर में बीवी, बहन, कोई औरत है? प्रॉब्लम है वो, हम सब भूल गए तो
पैड चाहिए ठीक है कि नहीं कल पता चलेगा
Lakshmikant stays up all night waiting in front of the hotel where Pari is staying, just to get feedback on the pad's usage as soon as possible. When Pari replies that it is no different from the imported pads sold on the market, Lakshmikant cries. The hardship, humiliation, and loneliness accumulated for too long break through all his defenses in this moment. This man, who was spurned by the whole village but never shed a tear, finally weeps uncontrollably like a child in the dawn of success. Looking at this strange man, Pari is completely baffled, unable to understand his sudden emotional dam burst. After leaving, Lakshmikant immediately calls his wife, wanting to share the joy of success with her, yearning even more for this good news to be the turning point to repair their relationship. However, the other end of the phone is a completely different world. Gayatri's brother forcefully pushes a divorce agreement in front of her, forcing her to sign. However, Gayatri, who still harbors love for Lakshmikant, refuses. Listening to Lakshmikant's call, she doesn't feel joy for his success, but instead cries in dissatisfaction.
गायत्री तू सुन रही है गायत्री
इतने वक्त के बाद मैं कैसे उन्हें पूछा नहीं बदलूंगा
तू बस
गायत्री से अब तुम्हारा कोई रिश्ता नहीं रहा तलाक के कागजात पहुंच जाएंगे
Hanging up the phone, Lakshmikant feels as if his soul has been sucked out. The long-awaited success he had dreamed of is met instead with a resolute divorce notice from Gayatri's brother. Dispirited, he walks mechanically toward the warehouse, only to see Pari already waiting at the door. Looking at this strange man in front of her, she curiously asks the doubts in her heart.
ये पैड कोई क्यों बनाएगा?
Needing to vent, Lakshmikant tells her the whole story in detail. To make cheap sanitary pads, Lakshmikant took on debt and lost his wife, his mother, and all his self-esteem. Looking at the machine that Lakshmikant obtained at such a painful cost, Pari is deeply shaken. Before leaving, she gives Lakshmikant one last suggestion. If one side of the sanitary pad is sticky, it will be easier to fix in place. After returning, Pari tells her father about this. As a university professor, her father knows how valuable Lakshmikant's invention is. He immediately asks his daughter to contact Lakshmikant and urge him to bring his machinery to Delhi to participate in the innovation competition held the day after tomorrow. The winner can not only become famous nationwide, but also win a prize of 200,000 rupees. For Lakshmikant, who is in a desperate situation, this is undoubtedly a ray of light suddenly shining into the dark night.
500 रुपए दीजिए
At the competition site, Lakshmikant stands devoutly before the jury, demonstrating his invention to the judges in accented but sincere English. He shows the entire process from cellulose raw material to finished packaging step by step, The vivid demonstration transcends the limitations of language. In India, an imported sanitary pad is very expensive, but the pad he makes costs only 2 rupees. This means every family can afford it, and every woman can enjoy basic health dignity. In the end, the jury is deeply shaken by this revolutionary invention. It is not just a technological innovation, it is a social revolution. Lakshmikant's work is awarded the Presidential Award for Best Invention, a national honor even higher than the competition champion. After the competition ends, Pari quickly applies for a patent for Lakshmikant's invention. She excitedly explains to him that they just need to wait for major companies to bid, optimize the product appearance, and put it on the market. India has over 500 million women, yet the sanitary pad usage rate is only 12%. Behind this is a blue ocean capable of creating enormous wealth. For Lakshmikant today, becoming a multimillionaire is indeed just one step away. However, after listening, Lakshmikant falls into a long silence. This is not the result he wants. His original intention for inventing the machine was so his wife could use cheap sanitary pads. If he sells the machine at a high price, big companies will definitely mark up the selling price to recover costs and make a profit. If that happens, the cheap version of sanitary pads he invented loses its meaning. At the crack of dawn, before the morning mist disperses, Lakshmikant leaves a letter for Pari on the table. He does not take the shortcut to wealth, but chooses another path, a much harder path back to his original intention.
गांव-गांव जाऊंगा, पैड बना के औरतों को दूंगा. मेरी मशीन का काम करोड़ों कमाना नहीं.
However, Lakshmikant's beautiful vision hits a wall again in reality. Even though they are cheap and high quality, the sanitary pads are still rarely asked for. Just as he is at his wit's end, a figure catches his eye. It is Pari, who has been deeply moved by him. She resolutely decides to become Lakshmikant's partner, joining him to practice the ideal of letting Indian women live with more dignity. With Pari running around to promote them, these cheap sanitary pads quickly find a market in the villages. It's not that the women don't need them. They are just ashamed to buy such private items from a man. This discovery makes Lakshmikant suddenly realize something, and a model with far more profound significance is born. They begin to recruit rural women to participate in production and sales. This not only brings them income, but also allows sanitary pads to circulate naturally among women. More and more women are moved by this story and actively join this movement to change their destiny. Lakshmikant further improves the machine, making the operation so simple that every woman can use it independently. They leave the equipment and production lines in the villages, transforming them into the collective property of local women, forming a virtuous cycle of self-production and self-sales. Meanwhile, Lakshmikant and Pari take the core technology and philosophy to the next village in need of help. Like sowing seeds of hope, wherever their footsteps go, machines take root in Indian villages, and cheap sanitary pads flow into thousands of households. This silent revolution finally attracts media attention. With continuous reports from television stations, Lakshmikant's story spreads across the country. People who once misunderstood him finally understand that this madman actually harbors the heart of an angel. On this day, Lakshmikant not only wins the respect of the whole society, but also receives an international call from the United Nations. The world finally hears the cry for women's dignity from this ordinary Indian repairman.
India today, only 18% women using pad. I want to make India 100% pad country. I want 1 million more women having job, pad business. I will, you wait, you watch. I come back to United Nations and you are listening my English again. How you like my English? You want to learn? You come India. 2 rupees, I teach. Good luck. Thank you.
With career success, Lakshmikant faces an emotional dilemma. On one side is his wife, who has suffered grievances, and on the other is his soulmate and co-founder, Pari. Pari has developed feelings for Lakshmikant during their time together. Lakshmikant ultimately refuses Pari's affection. His love for his wife has never changed. All his efforts originally stemmed from his love for her. Returning to his original intention is the perfect closure to his character arc. Pari understands his choice and ultimately chooses to let go and leave. After returning from the United Nations, Lakshmikant becomes a national hero of India, known as the Pad Man. Lakshmikant returns to his hometown. The villagers all come out to welcome him. Those who once cursed him are now filled with respect for him. Lakshmikant does not forget his original intention. Subsequently, he donates his patent to the country for free, allowing even more Indian women to afford sanitary pads.